be a word to describe this evening, and I'll pass over to you guys to speak to Paddy Donovan and Andy Lee.
Paddy, first off.
Can I just say first off, Marcus McDonald, I don't know him personally, I have nothing against him personally, but his performance tonight was a disgrace. Both boxers were leaning in with the heads. When someone's in with the head like that, tactically you have to go to it. You can't lean back or try to distance yourself because you will end up getting hurt and caught. So, we knew that was going to happen. We trained to stand there with him. Both guys going in with the heads. He only ever won Paddy. I said to him after the first one, I said, they're both in it. They're both leaning in with the heads. He says, I know. But he only ever won Paddy. The second thing he did, which is the worst thing of all, the crowd is loud. He sees Paddy's going for the finish. If he knew the bell was coming, or if he heard the bell, because we didn't hear the bell, he should have stopped it. The referee's supposed to be there and say, stop boxing! He doesn't allow he doesn't allow Paddy, firstly, to throw that punch and get disqualified. And he doesn't allow Crocker to take that punch and possibly could have hurt him or ended his career. So I think Marcus McDonald, nothing personal, but I think you're a disgrace tonight. It needs to be looked into. That performance was horrible. It's cost this man his fight, but Keith Sullivan here, my co-manager of Paddy, he'll already tell you, we've lodged an appeal. Keith, what's...
We've reached out to Gerald Peoples, the president of the IBF. We've sent him an email and a text message telling him that we're appealing this disqualification. It never should have happened. And we're asking that he hold the mandatory title match until after the rematch of Paddy and Lewis Crocker.
Paddy, can I just get, obviously, commiserations on the result of the fight. Can I just get your perspective of what Andy said, that final sequence of punches there?
Yeah, look, Andy said it all. He's hit the nail on the head. I just felt like the ref was against me from the get-go. He's pulling me, even when Lewis was complaining to him, then he would pull me for what Lewis was talking about. But look, I got Lewis down, I hit him with some big shots, knocked him, I went in for the finish. You can see the crowd was hectic. Hit him on the bell or whatever after the bell, and it is what it is. I want the automatic rematch. Keith and Andy's going to put in for the appeal with the IBF and Eddie, and let's run it back.
Paddy, just just your thoughts going through the fight, and what were you thinking what happened?
You get to see exactly what happened. I was dominating from the start to finish. I was only getting better, and yeah, look, I just want the automatic rematch. I want the IBF to key to put in an automatic rematch with the IBF, and let's run it back.
Paddy, just quickly. 4 points away from the controversy. It was billed as a 50-50 fight, but it didn't look much like that one in there.
What we saw tonight from Paddy is just a fraction of what he can do, and it's what I've seen him from the moment I saw him at whatever age he was back in 2019 in the National Stadium here in Ireland. He's a phenomenal fighter, an even better person, and he didn't deserve this tonight. He didn't deserve what happened. But God has a plan for everyone, and the rematch will make him this will make him big. And I said to him, it's not a loss because you've actually beaten Lewis. Everyone saw what happened, and you've got a moral victory, even though there's no room for sentiment in this game. You know, people saw what happened. He's the people's champion, and we'll get the rematch. It'll be bigger than ever. Let's take it to Colm Park. Let's take it to the 3 Arena. Get a fair shake, and this man won't let anyone down.
If you were Lewis Crocker's trainer, what would you be thinking right now? What conversations would you be having with Lewis?
I'd say, listen, Lewis is a great guy and a good fighter, but they got out of jail. They got out of jail tonight. You know, they were looking for. I'm not saying he was looking for a way out maybe. And listen, Paddy was just eager. He's like he smelled blood, and we couldn't hear the referee. We could not hear the referee. We could not hear the bell. But the referee's supposed to be at hand. He's supposed to be there. He's supposed to be close. Where was he? Where was he? You know what I mean? He should have been there. Bell rings. Stop boxing. No one could hear him.
Paddy, quickly, the most disappointing thing is sort of you were telling everyone from the beginning when this fight was getting made what was going to happen, and you held up your end of the bargain. You put in a world-class performance in there tonight. You showed levels, you were going to the body well, and it's unfortunate the way the points came off. Is that what sort of hurts the most, the fact you've put in that hard work and it's ended how it has?
Yeah, I knew from the camp I had, the sparring that I had, and the things I can do in the gym, and I knew it. I planned this fight all in my head, and it went exactly to plan with Andy was as you can see, I implemented it perfectly in the fight, and I got to Lewis. I was winning all the rounds, dropped him, win for the finish. You see exactly what happened, but it's up to this man, the boss of the world boxing, to give me to help me get this rematch and hopefully bring it down south.
And what were your thoughts on the referee's decision to disqualify Paddy?
I think there's a couple of things. I mean, we were just debating it in there with, there's kind of like mixed opinions really in terms of it being an isolated incident and a culmination of things. When that punch lands after the bell, which it was after the bell, it was very close to after the bell, but it was after the bell. I'm not going to lie to anyone. I really acknowledge Andy's point about when someone's going for the finish and the ref hears the 10-second, banger, you really got to be there to be close to the action. And when the bell goes, you're kind of stepping in. There was so much noise going on that in that instance, it's not easy always to hear the bell. Regarding the heads, I think there were use of the heads sometimes. I think both guys were leaning in with their heads a lot of the time. I think one of the points was very harsh on Paddy. I think another time he did lean in with his head. It wasn't the cleanest of fights at times. But I have to be honest, when the punch landed after the bell, I expected the ref to say, okay, this is an isolated incident. I'm going to give you time now to recover. Yeah. And that's what I thought he was doing, because he said, he went over to Lewis, he said, he helped him to get up. Then I thought he was going to go take him back and then decide what he was going to do, which I thought would be to give him the time to recover to start the fight. Mm-hmm. What he did was he gave an instant disqualification. Now, I really feel like in these instances, the referee should also, like the fighters have to come and talk to the media, I have to come and talk to the media. I really feel like there should be an explanation as to why he feels that was a disqualification. I think, honestly, it's a very mixed reaction. Some people think he should have been disqualified. Other people think he shouldn't have been disqualified. But I think the fouls in the fight are something that we have to look back on, because it was that kind of fight. It's very difficult to know, when they're both standing like this, who is actually using the head. But what I will say is, in the heat of the moment, with a lot of noise, sometimes a punch can land just after the bell. Unfortunately for Paddy, it was after the bell, and it was in a moment where the fight was nearly over, and it was the shot that dropped him to all the things that couldn't have really gone any worse. Like, if he doesn't get dropped there, if he hits him on the gloves, if he doesn't, but as Andy said, God has a plan, and in another world, who knows, he would have missed him, or he would have hit him on the glove, or he would have stumbled back to the corner. If he hits him, if he doesn't go down there, right? The ref comes in, he says to Paddy, don't hit after the bell, and Lewis walks back to the corner. The fact that it was a big shot that actually dropped him and looked like it was the finish of the fight made everything much worse. So, it's difficult for me because I've got both fighters in the fight. I've got Billy Nelson shouting at me that I'm being, biased to Paddy Donovan, and then I've got Paddy Donovan, before the fight probably thinking, fuck me, Eddie Hearn's brought me to Belfast. You can't win. Do you know what I mean? He boxed out of his skin. He was winning the fight comfortably. He was on the way to winning the fight. Unfortunately, he did land a shot after the bell in the heat of the moment where you can't really hear things, the referee not jumping, blah, 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 blah. And the reality is the people that are probably going to decide the future of this are the IBF. Would I like to see a rematch? Yes. Would I be trying to make a massive rematch in the summer? Yes. If I was Billy Nelson and Lewis Crocker, would I take the rematch? I don't know.
Can they, in all seriousness, jump in the world title shot in the back of that?
Well, yes, because they're mandatory. But if the IBF decide, no, they're not mandatory because we're calling a rematch, they're not mandatory. But also, the world title shot might not be till the end of the year. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Lewis Crocker to take the rematch. But in the heat of the moment, like everybody is now, and everyone, angry, and I reckon they're probably sitting there going, fuck the rematch. No, he hit me after the bell, fucking I'm the mandatory, you know what I mean? That's how it goes. But the reality is, when the dust settles and we realise how big the rematch is, financially, we realise what the IBF might say, which is maybe they say, tough shit, you've got to do it. But that'll all play out over the next couple of days. But we are where we are. That's the situation. Nothing's going to change. He'll be gutted. He'll be crying himself to sleep tonight. Doesn't matter if he does or not. It's done. Nothing's going to change what happened. So we've got to deal with what the reality is and see where we go.
Eddie,
Can you have? Is it that the IBF would order that rematch off the back of Paddy's?
I mean, I will say in this process, there is no one fairer than the IBF, right? In my opinion, of this appeal process. All the governing bodies are fair, but the IBF particularly, I've been in this appeal process a dozen times. Probably the most famous of those, George Groves against Carl Froch in the first fight, where they ordered the rematch because of the early stoppage. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's going to be a panel of people who know boxing, who will have to make an educated decision on what they feel is right. And I think there's so many things to consider. Like you know, Andy, you know, they'll all fly out there, I would suggest, and give their case to the panel, you know, and then it's up to the panel.
Eddie, is there anything you can do from your end? 'Cause obviously it was a terrific atmosphere in here tonight. A lot of people are saying, look, that kind of needs to be run back. I think that's the general consensus. Obviously, you've got to look at their situations in an isolated way now after the fight, but would you, from a promotional standpoint, maybe sort of say, look, this is the right thing to do to the IBF, and would that have any bearing on it?
No, that's kind of like an independent decision from a panel. What I will be saying is, I want to do the rematch. I won't be saying to the IBF, come on guys, like, you know, it doesn't work like that. That's an independent panel that will make an educated decision based on the facts. I, you know, and I'm not, you know, I don't hide behind trees and cry and lie. I suggest there is a rematch. And, you know, whether that makes me unpopular with Lewis and Billy, I can't tell you, I can't sit here tonight and say that was a terrible decision, in my opinion. It's a heat of the moment decision where the referee's got to make a call. Now, was he right or wrong? And in a situation where it's a 50-50, generally there will be a rematch ordered. Because, you know, it's not a benefit of the doubt thing. If it's an unsure decision, generally they'll order a rematch, you know. And I don't see anything, you know, judging by people's opinions, that's how it is. No, it shouldn't have been. Yes, it should have been. No, it shouldn't have been. Yes, you know. So, you know, I think, but I will be saying, I think there should be a rematch. One more question for Paddy, and let him get out.
I was just saying, considering the talk before this fight that there was a possibility that the winner could fight for a vacant title, is there a world in where the two boys rematch for a world title, vacant world title?
That's a very good point. And, you know, that would probably be the icing on the cake, really, you know, if there was a vacant world title on the line. And one thing I know for sure is if, in a worst case scenario for Paddy Donovan, the IBF said no rematch, I believe they would install him as the highest ranked challenger. So in that instance, if Boots or Stanionis didn't fight Paddy Donovan, you know, or Lewis Crocker, sorry, it would be Lewis Crocker against Paddy Donovan for the IBF world title. And that would, of course, make Lewis Crocker definitely take the rematch. You know, listen, he may take the rematch anyway. He may feel under pressure. He may feel like, no, I want to prove myself. I didn't perform tonight. All my fans want to see the rematch. By the way, financially, I would say, financially, the rematch with Paddy Donovan is probably more lucrative than a fight with Gerard. There you go. I mean, that's, you know, that's how big this rematch could be.
Paddy as well, just...
I mean, that's only for him, not for you. You're going to have to take less money. I'm joking.
Paddy, just all things considered as well, from what we were saying, reflect on what Ant, your coach, is saying, career best performance from yourself as well.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Eddie. That means a lot to hear things like that. It's really positive. It's hurtful. Tonight's very, very hurtful. Deep down, it's hurtful. But I'm happy with the performance. I'm happy with the camp we've had and the work we've put in. And I believe I've put Irish boxing back in the map. And I can be the face of Irish boxing. And this is the best country in the world when you have a superstar in the boxing world. So I think I am him. And we're going to have some amazing nights going forward.
Paddy, just before you go, was there anything said between yourself and Lewis after the disqualification?
Yeah, just I don't want to go into too much detail, but his coach admitted that I was a lot better tonight than he thought, and he thought that I won the fight, and that I was a lot better than Lewis, and I will be a world champion.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.